Hey everyone, Meet Kevin here. I was thinking about Lauren's stimulus video she posted this morning, meet Lauren in case you haven't seen it yet, about the $600 per week plus up, and I got to thinking, wait a minute, she's right. And so whether you are a tenant, a homeowner on unemployment or not, if you care about the future of the market, the housing market, and the future of America, this is very important because in this video I'm going to talk about the next housing meltdown and the $600 plus up. Now, you can watch her video to see her points, but this is also a very important dialogue to have. There are actually two main dialogues happening in our country right now. One is that the $600 per week plus up, that $2,400 per month extra pay in unemployment, creates a disincentive for people to go to work, and it should continue to expire on July 31st, as planned. The other is that people want to go back to work, but they can't because guess what? We're in a pandemic. This is happening at the same time as there is a massive foreclosure crisis that feels like it's looming and hanging over our heads like a hammer that's ready to drop. It's kind of like the same hammer that tells you to go to the links below and get life insurance and 2 free stocks when you sign up for Webull and deposit $100. But in the meantime, we have concerns about housing, a wave of defaults coming in housing, a wave of defaults coming in credit cards, and possibly even a wave of defaults coming in auto loans as forbearance periods come to an end. And whether or not you like this news organization, the fact of the matter is, the CNBC has reported that 30% of Americans missed their mortgage payments in June. Folks, this number used to be 1 in 20 missed their mortgage payments in April. Now, it's 1 in 3. Now, granted, June isn't over yet, but if this is a sign of what's to come, maybe CNBC is right to warn about a, quote, housing apocalypse, especially when they reference at least 50,000 eviction filings that are expected to hit the courts in New York City as soon as the eviction ban ends. And so in this video, I'm going to explain how important the $600 per week plus up or $2,400 per month of unemployment stimulus is to the economy and what it means to you if you are a tenant, a homeowner, or even someone not on unemployment. So really this applies to everyone. This is very important, especially since I'm going to cover what to watch for and what to do to prepare. Now, you're going to see a lot of talk about this mortgage crisis coming, and you're going to wonder initially, how does this relate to the $600 plus up? Well, stay tuned, because here's the thing. The real estate crisis is not going to come from mortgage forbearance and the end of mortgage forbearance. It's going to be something else, but it's going to be equally as important. In fact, here's what's going to happen. When mortgage forbearance goes away, the fact that 30% of people are taking mortgage forbearance, it doesn't really matter. Because right now, people, a lot of folks at least, are taking mortgage forbearance because they're choosing to take it. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of people who need to take mortgage forbearance, but there are also a lot of people who are taking mortgage forbearance because why not? It's basically free stimulus money. And that's exactly why originally I recommended, I don't know about this mortgage forbearance, but then I saw Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and FHA change their terms and say you could basically take the money you owe and put it at the end of the loan term. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is basically free stimulus money. I'll explain that in a second. Everybody should take mortgage forbearance, with the exception of a few. Realistically, 99% of people with mortgages should be taking mortgage forbearance. But that is not a sign of a crash. That is a sign of people literally taking free money. And I'm not saying that to slam anybody. I'm not saying that somebody should not take mortgage forbearance. I think people should take mortgage forbearance, whether that's because you need to pay for your child's kindergarten if your kindergarten's open, or you need to pay for groceries, or you need to pay the bills, or because you want to save money for a rainy day and cushion your emergency fund. You want to build a business and you need more money to do that, or you want to hodl stocks or Bitcoin. It doesn't matter. There are very few reasons not to take mortgage forbearance right now. Probably the only reasons not to take it or if you're currently doing a refinance or you're currently buying real estate. And that's exactly why I've recommended on my programs and in this public channel that you do take mortgage forbearance. But the fact that a lot of people are taking mortgage forbearance right now, or really any kind of mortgage forbearance, isn't what's going to cause the meltdown. Instead, think about it this way. Mortgage forbearance gives you the opportunity for 12 months to build your cash cushion. Think about it. If you have a mortgage payment of $2,000 per month, you save $24,000 per year. How does that turn into free money? Well, you invest it. And if you invest that money, usually within 10 to 15 years, if you invested even just in a basic index fund, you could probably double your money and you basically got yourself a free $24,000, right? So that's how the money's free. But how does this relate back to the $600 plus up? And why would people take mortgage forbearance if they don't need it? I mean, isn't that going to hurt their credit? Not really. People are seeing dings to their credit of maybe 30, 40 points, and it goes away after 2 to 3 credit cycles, which they usually check your credit every 2 to 4 weeks. So, within a month to 2, maybe 3 months, your credit's back to normal. And given the luxurious terms, basically, that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and FHA are giving, people getting mortgage forbearance, again, it's basically free stimulus money. People who own assets, again, are winning, and people who are tenants are getting screwed. But again, how does this relate back to that $600? Well, here's the thing. Tenants right now who are not paying rent because they don't have a job or because their business is closed have no choice but to stop paying rent and be shielded by the fact that there is an eviction ban. But they do have the $600 plus up right now, which means maybe they can continue to make their payments because they're receiving unemployment pay. Self-employed people are getting the $600 per week, and regular employees are eligible for the $600 per week. And now all of a sudden they can make their payments. But what happens if they're not able to make those payments anymore and they do fall behind on their payments? Well, they have a few choices. They can negotiate with their landlord. They can try to negotiate a lower payment or some sort of reasonable payback period. Or guess what'll happen if they don't? They end up getting evicted. And if people get evicted en masse, like what we're hearing might happen in New York City, guess what happens? Tenants' credit scores get tanked, they get sued, they get judgments against them, they might have to file bankruptcy at their business, they might have to move, and all of a sudden you're actually creating an entirely different kind of crash. Rather than the housing market crashing from speculative home buyers, driving up real estate prices, instead, you're gonna see the reverse happen, but it's gonna be just as bad. Tenants are going to have no choice when this $600 per week dries up, which is going to dry up on July 31st, and if Congress doesn't act to pass more or an extension of the $600 plus up, tenants will have no choice but to fall behind on their rents. They'll be protected by the eviction shields, but if they get evicted, and this will take, a year to 2 years, if they get evicted, guess what happens? Tenants move to poorer areas. Tenants move to poorer areas where people are willing to accept tenants who have bankruptcies on their records, poor credit scores, and unstable or potentially unstable incomes because they were just evicted. And so this does two things. Number one, it concentrates the poor. Concentrating the poor into an area leads to even more lack of social mobility, more racial tensions, worse schooling, more crime, and a bigger wealth gap. So when you concentrate the poor, you're actually making things worse. And then rents in moderate and even expensive areas will plummet first. This will take 1 to 2 years to happen. And certainly it's not going to happen right away. I mean, we have a surge in rental demand right now because nobody was renting places in April. There was a lack of renters in April because everybody was on lockdown. But if tenants get ruined during this pandemic, then in the long term, rents will plummet everywhere except the most poor areas. And then you might think, well, maybe I should go invest in poor areas. Because, hey, maybe prices in the poor areas are going to skyrocket, right? Maybe I should go invest there. Unfortunately, that's not what happens when more poor people concentrate into a poorer area. Guess what happens? Quality of life goes down because of overpopulation, policing goes up, maintenance goes down, crime goes up, and if anything, prices might actually fall faster in poorer areas as the poor concentrate into the poor. Now, this isn't to say that all tenants are poor. There are people that do have a lot of money as tenants. But those people are not getting the benefit that people who own real estate are getting. They're not getting the real fat stimulus check, mortgage forbearance. That's letting you take money now and kick it down the road 30 years. And it's not even a little bit of money, it's a lot of money because it's your housing payment, and that's a big deal. Then here's what happens. If the eviction pandemic takes a foothold and we actually see a lot of tenants get evicted, then investment grade real estate like apartment buildings get destroyed first. That trickles over to single family housing, and then you have the entire market crumble from renters. That is, rents go down, and that creates a crumbling of the market. Now, there'll always be some stability because people do want to own. Maybe that means some tenants who didn't end up getting evicted will want to become buyers, but it's going to be hard for people who got evicted and had their credit scores get destroyed be ever able to become buyers. So they wouldn't even be able to take advantage of the deals. So, how do you deal with this, and what do you have to watch out for? Well, here's the thing. What you want to keep an eye out for is what Congress does for the people who need the most help, which right now are the people on unemployment. The people getting the $600 boost are the ones who are falling behind on rent without the boost, or would fall behind on rent without the boost. These are the folks that need additional support. And without additional support at that end of the economy could crumble from a direction that we're not expecting it to from. And you need to be aware of that. Now, what are the odds of this, right? And what are some options here? Well, obviously the option is just extend unemployment until the pandemic is over. That would be easy. That would solve this like that. Then there's some kind of combination, right? Maybe Congress could somehow give money to tenants, but that pisses off landlords. If landlords get money, well, that pisses off the entire world. Generally, somebody's getting screwed with one of the alternate options, and it tends to be more unpopular. Maybe Congress will force some kind of repayment plan between tenants and landlords. That's not going to be super popular. Forcing landlords to take less rent is also not super unpopular, and a combination will probably be just as bad. So then you have the option of, what about just giving more stimulus money? But as soon as you give stimulus money directly to landlords or tenants, well, that doesn't look good. That's bad PR, and people don't like to see that. Landlords don't like to see money given to tenants, and tenants don't like to see money given to landlords. Maybe a better solution would be something like a rent protection program, kind of like the Paycheck Protection Program, but for landlords. Basically, the rent the tenant was supposed to pay becomes a forgivable loan to the landlord. The landlord keeps paying the bank. The tenant doesn't have to pay rent until they go back to work or until the pandemic is over. So the banks get money, the landlord gets money, and the tenant gets a place to stay without this sort of hammer getting ready to drop that they're going to get evicted if they don't make their payments or they don't catch up after the pandemic is over, and everybody's happy. Who pays for it? Well, Jerome Powell with the money printer. Now, obviously, there are longer-term implications for that. I mean, we can't just keep borrowing money and printing money forever, right? But here's what we can do, because we can't control what the Fed does. Here's what we can do right now. We pay attention to what Congress does. If Congress neglects the people on unemployment, we are going to have an eviction pandemic, and it is going to be a crisis. If tenants and evictions and rents are not solved, I would be nervous about the market, which means I would increase my emergency fund and be more prepared to take advantage of possible future opportunities and a possible other crash in the future. Maybe that's that W-shaped recovery where we see that second real crash. Maybe it's not gonna come this fall with a second wave. Maybe it's going to come in 2 years. I see this as 30% likely, but I want to let you know about it because 30% is reasonable. If I thought this was 1% likely, I wouldn't make a video about it. Now, I do believe that it's more likely, that is, I believe it's 70% likely that Congress does act, that there will be some sort of additional stimulus, either money, unemployment payments, some sort of eviction solution, something to prevent the eviction pandemic. Again, I believe this to be 70% likely. And this is why I personally am currently focusing more on real estate than I am on stocks, because I'm bullish that Congress will do the right thing and support tenants. We just haven't seen it yet. Instead, what we've been seeing is basically we're going to wait and see, we're going to wait more, a bunch of this confusing talk, and we're trying to decipher what the heck is going on. Ugh. So, bottom line. If Congress extends the $600 per week bonus or some sort of continued bonus for tenants or some sort of protection for tenants, you'd probably be incentivized to buy real estate and take advantage of low rates right now. Otherwise, you'd be better, and honestly, in both cases, you better be getting really good deals. You better be lining up good deals left and right and protecting yourself. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider checking out my programs on money and becoming a millionaire by investing in real estate. I show you how you can go from zero to millionaire in the program link down below. You can see some of the other programs I have as well regarding whether it's money and stocks, there's a program for that, real estate agent sales, or do-it-yourself property management. Heck, you could even bundle those. If you have questions about that, you could email me. Link is down below. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to get your 2 free stocks with Webull. Sign up for life insurance. And folks, thank you so much for watching the video. We'll see you soon.